grandmother's house we go. The horse knows the way to carry the sleigh through wide and drifted snow. Over the river and through the woods, oh how the wind does blow. It stings the toes and bites the nose as over the ground we go.
Hi, everybody. It is almost that time. It is Thanksgiving time. I have to say, here in the US, because last week, for the first time ever, we actually had more international listeners than US listeners. So, thank you to everyone around the world from almost every continent. Come on, South America, we need more of you. But thank you so much for listening. It is the Thanksgiving season, and I will be heading up to grandmother's house up in New Jersey on tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday. I will be heading up there. Got a late start this weekend. I was actually working quite a lot this weekend at my fun job, and it went very well. Actually, I am becoming. I was actually almost singing at the register one time with the little kid. It was pretty funny, but so we had some breaking news literally as I was trying to find the Over the River and Through the Woods song that Letitia James and James Comey both are having uh, I don't want to say lawsuits. They are being dismissed on their charges. I don't have all of the information. It actually just happened like 10 minutes ago. So I apologize. I believe it's actually because the lead lawyer was actually not appointed in time or overstayed, and that was the main reason. And for Comey, he actually he's not going to probably face any charges unless they do what was it Letitia James did and create new statute of limitations. Maybe, I don't know. Letitia James, on the other hand, she is still within the statute of limitations, so I wouldn't be surprised if the DOJ could change and bring her back up on her charges of mortgage fraud. Anyway, so last week, I actually started out by bashing the UN, and I was actually talking about the Epstein files. Who knew? Literally, like less than 12 hours later, the UN actually approved of the Gaza peace plan. Now, things are not 100% going through, but they actually were speaking about putting the blue helmet troops on the ground in Gaza. So I was wow, that's kind of amazing. I didn't know they even were reviewing it, but there's still a lot of things that have to be worked out first. And then we had the big, I'm going to say nothing at this moment in time on the Epstein files. So the files are being released, and the Democrats were like, I'm going to say the populace of Democrats, the liberals, they couldn't wait. They wanted to see Trump. They were, I mean, you literally had people saying, oh, we need to see Donald Trump actually sign the order releasing these Epstein files. We have to. We got to see it. I mean, come on, people. And then we find out, ooh, Hakeem Jeffries has been getting money actually after Epstein was indicted, and he actually took money and had meetings. Interesting, and no one's calling for him to leave. Huh? Wonder why. But and today is Monday. There's been nothing in the news for about 4 days now about it. So basically, they're going to get all these files, and they're going to find out that Trump had nothing to do with it, and it's going to go away. And then, of course, the Dems will come back probably 6 months from now and talk. Oh my! All the files weren't all released, or yeah, typical. So that actually didn't really go well for them, but they did stop talking about. They did actually stop talking about their mess up with the shutdown. So the shutdown is pretty much over. Um, Also, we had a lot of ultra conservatives that I know. I'm going to say ultra. I would fall probably into the ultra category, but there's a bunch of people who are very upset with Trump right now. And not like that they would not vote for him again, but they're really unhappy about him in one person's terms, bending over and taking it into Saudi Arabia. That was actually the use, but they used another word instead. The Saudis are looking to invest possibly $1 trillion into the U.S. Now, I am first my opinion. This is my opinion based on just a little bit. Is that it's going back to the old Reaganism of truth but verify. You know, we do know about the Saudis not being very close friends with Israel, and also that the Saudis were a mainstay. That the 9/11 hijackers were all from Saudi Arabia. So, they don't exactly have a great track record. And their helping of terrorists back in the day. So trust but verify. Let's see what happens. They do want to actually join the Abraham Accords, which would be huge. Maybe they are going to change. Maybe it's time to let them in. Is it one of those situations, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? I don't see it like that. Yes, they are not big fans of Iran, but I mean, no one is. Well, maybe the people in Yemen, but I don't know. Do we trust Saudi Arabia? I mean, they got a ton of money. They are trying to build they're trying to build up, knowing one day, whether it's 100 years or 1,000 years, that the oil is going to dry up. And Trump was pretty funny with it. A couple jokes that he was talking about. First, talking about the ballroom, and then the next time the prince comes in, that maybe the ballroom will be finished, possibly, and that they could actually have a proper meeting and a proper thing. But then also saying that the United States does have more oil than Saudi Arabia. A little dig there, saying at any time we could actually take over if we're allowed to. But we have to make sure that they don't find another endangered species that will actually cause some type of centipede that will cause the the stoppage of oil. Yeah, so that was some of the big news that happened, like really, really early in this week, and that has kind of all been pushed aside for the I don't even know where this is coming from, but the Democrats in Congress and the Senate, um, who are actually pushing this issue of that people in the military and the intelligence areas do not have to follow the orders of, if they believe that the orders are unlawful, of President Trump and their senior staff. Um, in fact, Senator Slotkin, actually, one of the group, actually was saying it is just like the movie A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise, and saying how we need people to stand up. These people are nuts. Every military person gets hit in the head day one with it. That if it's an unlawful order, they do not have to follow it, but there could be consequences if they don't. For example, if a sergeant tells a private to shoot an unarmed citizen, that's an unlawful order. So the private doesn't. The private would be most likely arrested, and then there would be a trial, and they would find the private not guilty. But in the meantime, those are the things that could happen. That's an unlawful order. If an order comes down that has not been negotiated through any kind of court system, whether a military court system or a federal court system, then it is a lawful order until then. So you have these people, these senators and Congress people, literally saying they're pushing this agenda. Now I'm worried. I'm worried that you're going to have some guy who barely got paid, because of the shutdown. He wasn't paid. He's some private. He's probably not making that much money at all. Maybe his family, and he just snaps and he ends up shooting someone. We already had one full assassination attempt on Trump, and then we had one that was planned. And like, what is going on? Like, they're pushing, they want violence. They want some young 18-year-old kid to literally do something reckless. And then they'll say, "Oh, well, it wasn't us. We just wanted them to just talk about it." You know, and when Senator Slotkin was interviewed on ABC this weekend, she actually said that um, she doesn't know of any unlawful orders. Hmm. So it's not like she said the Trump administration or the War Department is doing this blank. You know, are they talking about the boats with the drug lords from Venezuela? Possibly, but of course she wouldn't go into any details, which is why when they're literally speaking about this, they want something to happen. They don't do this unless they don't. Um, Now, one of the gentlemen, I think it's Congressman Lee, could be Senator Lee, I apologize. Uh, he actually could be uh, actually brought up on possible charges because he is still technically could be if active as a military. He was a pilot, and if he is, that would be very bad for him because this could be, as Donald Trump says, sedition. Now, there is a unique law that even if it is seditious excuse me, seditious speech, if these people did it, so it's supposed to be in the well of Congress where the House or the Senate speak. They actually have a speech and debate clause in there where anything they could say on that floor cannot be used against them, which is kind of stupid. But anyway, it's a law. Now, these people seem to be in a room. I don't know if that's part of the well. So even if it is found that they are hypothetically, let's just say the Justice Department investigates them and they're found guilty of sedition and they try to use this defense, I don't know if they can or they can't. If they're in like a side room, or does it actually have to be on the well of the floor? So that might be one of their arguments. Plus, they're not giving any, they're pretty much just doing their best to uh, they're doing their best to incite violence against the Trump administration, in my personal opinion. Now, of course, they're saying they're not. They're just trying to let everyone know. But the military, they know already. Every single day, they know that they don't have to follow uh, unlawful laws, unlawful orders, excuse me. So these people are insane. And you have, do you remember Colonel Vidman from the very, very first impeachment of Donald Trump with the beautiful call, the perfect call with Vladimir Zelensky that ended up getting Trump impeached? Well, his brother, another Colonel Vidman, he wants the release of another call back in 2019 with the prince again from Saudi Arabia. He wants that released. He wants to hear it. Now, he's a congressman, sadly, from my state of Virginia, and he's demanding that this. I would love it if he was reactivated. That'd be fun. And I wonder, could you reactivate someone and, I don't know, station them in Antarctica? Him and his brother? Just do it. Just reactivate both of them for special projects and send both of them to Antarctica. They can actually deal with climate change up there for the Air Force. There you go. Boom. I mean, but that's unbelievable. He wants to impeach uh, Trump again on another phone call because it worked the first time. And, the perfect phone call that literally nothing was there. And then years later, we found out it was his call with Zelensky and that they were investigating Joe Biden's son. Interesting. I mean, it's unbelievable of what's going on. So enough about politics. I'm done with it for a little bit. Um, Thanksgiving's coming up, as I mentioned earlier, and wanted to my brother is actually hosting this year, so it should be fun down here, and wanted to find out if what people like to do for Thanksgiving. This is it's going to be new for us this year. We used to have, certain traditions, and some were short-lived. My mom used to be awesome and buy everyone a chocolate turkey from this one ice cream candy store in New Jersey that sadly is no longer around. And but that got kind of expensive. Each turkey was like $7, $8 for this one eat turkey. So that is kind of changed, and sadly, we're all much, much further away, and all the young kids are now college age, so they're going to be getting home like on Wednesday night, and so I'll be heading up there, grab my mom, and we're gonna spend Thanksgiving with my brother. First time that he's gonna host, so it's pretty cool. I've never hosted. I should host Thanksgiving next year in the basement. Yes, we get a basement turkey. Ooh, best turkey you can have in a basement. But so I gotta figure out. I made this one sausage. It was like a sausage cornbread mix thing. It was freaking awesome. I loved it. I was eating too much of it. I think I was gonna get sick from it. Um, I made it twice actually. The first time was good. Second time wasn't good. But I gotta do something. I could. My brother has too much wine. What should I go with? Do I make a dessert? My mom's gonna make a dessert. So, maybe I can figure something out. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could bring basement coffee. Maybe that's the right now. I have my basement caramel macchiato right now. Mm, not as good as French vanilla, but it's not bad. Hit the spot. So I'm thinking we're gonna sit around. We're gonna eat. Maybe we'll watch a movie or something and just make fun of each other as we always do, and think about what we're gonna do for Christmas. But is there some special food? I don't think my brother's going to make my mom's Campbell's soup green bean casserole that she's made for the last 65 years. I don't think she's going to make that anymore this year. But it should be fun, the mashed potatoes, the cranberries, the stuffing, and ooh, will we not have cranberries in a can? For some, we actually did a taste test years ago, and we actually preferred the canned cranberries over the just mix of cranberries that you can buy, or it was like fresh cranberries. We went with the canned one. That thing is. By the way, did you know that cranberries actually were the first American fruit that was marketed? Interesting enough, and then apples. I know I was actually talking about pears last week, but it was actually the cranberry. But sadly, outside of like cranberries really aren't that popular, which is kind of surprising. I like them. The potatoes, how do you make them? I'll give my sister amazing credit on it. Her potatoes are phenomenal. I mean, basically, it's butter with potatoes and a lot of garlic in it. But it's like butter first, then the potatoes. But man, they are freaking amazing. I made crappy potatoes. I don't know, which is unbelievable. So that's what's going on there. Work has been really fun in sports. Um, One player who in Major League Baseball who I couldn't stand, Darryl Strawberry, was pardoned by President Trump for his former crimes that he committed. He was a drug addict, and he actually was pardoned because he found Jesus. And he's been preaching for the last, I think, believe 9 years, and he's doing his best to. He's got his life together, and I think that's pretty cool that he's been pardoned. And we have football coming up. I did not know that there was a Black Friday football game. So we have all these. We have games on Thursday. We have games on Friday. It's too much, man. I hate the NFL. I mean, I did talk to somebody about last week after I mentioned how in Madrid, the NFL still had the end racism in the back of the end zone. And my one friend goes, "Oh my God, that's so dumb." He goes, "If you're in Madrid right now, you're probably very confused about that and probably think that racism is still the most important subject that faces all of America." But way to go, NFL. That's why I don't watch the NFL. I could watch some college football. I live in Virginia, so I don't always get the Maryland football games, and not that I would want to watch them this year. Ew, they suck. But I watch like Army football, some Richmond football. I can watch. I like watching smaller teams in really tiny venues. I do like that. But the UFL will be getting motivated soon with the new teams that's happening. I really don't want to talk about hockey whatsoever. I actually only now found that the New York Rangers are actually in the Winter Classic. Did not even know it because I'm not following them as much. I don't even know when they play next. In baseball, this is the worst time for baseball. Everything is a rumor, 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 rumor. No one's being like free agency hasn't really happened yet, so it's kind of boring. My job was just to not talk, try not talking about politics today. And oh, here's something interesting. So at work, I'm working with a bunch of young, and I can call them kids. There's a couple 16-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and we were talking about like the history of Virginia. And it was just fascinating how little they know about their home state. And we were talking, one kid's from Leesburg. And I was like, yeah, it's named after the Lee family. And he looked at me with a blank stare. I said, "You're probably more familiar with General Lee." And he goes, "Oh yeah, that guy." And I was like, "Yeah, well, actually, um, his actual great grandfathers were actually the one actually introduced. I think it was Henry Lee. Oh no, Henry Lee, I believe, was the one who actually started the vote for the Declaration of Independence. So they were possibly one of Virginia's most influential families, complete families. I mean, obviously, you have Jefferson and Washington and Madison and all the others, but you have like so much is named after the Lee family right where I live. I mean, you have Leesburg, you have the Lee Parkway, you know, all of these things. But most people, if they know Lee, they only know General Lee, Robert E. Lee, and yeah, it just talking to these kids, trying to learn about history and how little they really know. I mean, I was actually just, and then we were talking about like Thanksgiving. I said, yeah, pilgrims didn't actually have like the little buckles on their shoes and they didn't have the hats. And uh, I said, yeah, and the Indians, or do I have to say native peoples, were the ones that actually saved the pilgrims from starvation and how they actually grew corn or maize. And they showed them how to, and then it was actually Thanksgiving was actually a much longer period of time. It was after the harvest, and they had a huge feast. And so I was telling them this, and these kids actually they had no clue. They celebrate all this time, and they had no idea. So I think it's good that maybe we should talk about history of Thanksgiving at Thanksgiving. My brother actually just sent me a text with his podcast. I have not heard the new one yet. I'll have to give it a review. Maybe, oh, that would be mean if I give him a review and it's bad, but I'll be listening to it right after I get off the phone. Oh, one last thing, one little tidbit. Uh, so Dick Cheney died the week before, and his funeral was last week, and I totally forgot about it. This was actually way up high on my notes that I forgot about, and it was pretty interesting of all the people who were invited and all the people who were not invited. So Donald Trump not invited, no surprise there, no big deal. But JD Vance not invited. What the hell did he have to do with Dick Cheney? I have no idea. But did you see who was? First, Rachel Maddow was the one that everyone was talking. Oh, Rachel Maddow. She was pretty much calling him Hitler, you know, calling him an SS Gestapo and calling him evil every 5 minutes. And she was there. But right in front of her, Dr. Fauci. Huh. Makes you wonder. The guy who was literally did not help with COVID and brought us all the COVID problems. He was invited. Man, that was interesting. So all the former living vice presidents and presidents were all there, and JD Vance not invited. Trump, I can understand. I don't even know if Trump would have gone, even if he was invited. But I mean, that was unbelievable. So there was no representation by the Trump administration there. So um, I, I don't, Dick Cheney, I mean, prior to the Gulf War after 9/11. Prior to that, I had no problem with it. I mean, he actually didn't mind being called evil, but I didn't realize like how much money other people made from his decisions. And that's back when I did not believe in the military industrial complex. I really did. I didn't believe it, that how bad it is. And now I see it. And then you see Dr. Fauci, it makes even more sense. Yes, he's not in the military. I understand that. But it was one of those things that I'm just like, yeah, it's all about money, money and power, power and money. It's sick. I have neither. So I will be sitting here with my macchiato and getting ready to drive, and I'm gonna have enjoy this Thanksgiving. I'm gonna sit back. I will eat way too much. I may have to work on Black Friday, which is okay. I actually volunteered to work, so I will be seeing Alfred and Daniel on Wednesday night. I went up in New Jersey, and Alfred offered Daniel to pay for everything. So we're gonna take my mom out somewhere. So I got to come up with a good place to take her, somewhere crazy. Should get her. We should get her hammered and get her some tattoos. Oh, I don't know. It's all good. They actually had Friendsgiving last weekend, which I thought was awesome. A lot of people were there. I mean, family. Like I think there was like over 10 people at Friendsgiving. I have to find out what the official count was, but I wish I could have been there, but I had to work. Had to earn my extra 5 cents to so I can afford the macchiatos and not have to drink even worse coffee in the basement. But anyway, so feel free, reach out to us through Buzzsprout is the best if you're listening to Buzzsprout. Thank you once again to all of the people out all over the world, Europe, Asia, Australia, the Middle East. I saw one from there. Hopefully, I wasn't bashing the Middle East too badly. I don't want anyone coming after me. But yeah, and tell the people in South America, hey, Brazil, listen to this guy. It's interesting. Feel free. We'd like to have you join us. Have a conversation if you just want to talk about where you are, and unlike some countries in Europe, England, we won't arrest you for speaking your mind. So feel free. We could have a chat. So anyway, thanks for joining us, and if you are in the U.S., have a great Thanksgiving. If you're not in the U.S., well, enjoy hanging out with everyone you know and love.
Over the river and through